this is a very quick video to explain the process. So with Marvelous Designer to create the model pose and send to and back to the other 3D tool by our CG artist Jay. So once modeling done, export to the Maya or 3ds Max and some retopology. Then adding some detail like Marvelous doesn't manage control the metal rigid accessory. So you create one and add on the some other tool. So it's done this one. Okay. Yeah, let me quickly introduce Marvelous Designer benefit and introduce our company, then pass to the Jamie Frank from Fashion Picture. So on the BBC Trail, just the first simulation work by the Marvelous Designer. Mostly users are using Marvelous Designer for modeling only. Yeah. So Marvelous Designer is a new conceptual 3D close modeling tool. So existing close modeling concept is directly from 3D, right? Then unwrap to 2D. That's why very difficult to modify and change and some switch, add something. Yeah. But what if you could base first the 2D pattern? Okay. You can very easily change it, modify. Okay, like round neck, change to V neck, and copy that one. So another garment, similar garment, like long sleeve, short sleeve. So you can create one cloud scene, many like 100 people for very short time. Okay. Then we have a 3D window, 2D window together. So you create 2D, just to simulate. You can visualize your garment just in 5 seconds. So very intuitive and very interactive. So easier modeling, easier modification, faster simulation work, easier, faster communication tool between concept artist and the character artist. Yeah, because once you create some garment, pass to the concept artist said, oh, it is not what really I saw. Something different. Okay, what's different? Okay, come on. Look, let's look together the Marvelous Designer. So what different texture you want? This kind of. I can drag and drop. See, okay? And 3 button, 5 button, what kind of pocket shape I can create? This just drag your pre-create pocket, A shape, B, C, D, just drag and drop and show and simulate very easily. And that's why this is modular pattern. So you have this base shirts and a lot of pocket you can use well. Okay, pants same. And you can easily coordinate. You can make many layer garment like this is I'm now is a two layer. You can put each pattern on the layer number. Now if this is number 1, this is number 2. If you want like this shape, change it, this one from 1 to 3. So Marvelous Designer was developed and provide Claw Virtual Fashion based in Korea. So we are founded and commercialized in January 2009. And now is whole user is around 30,000 users from our report. And we are a 30 expert group, mostly R&D and some fashion designer trainer and a web service. So we have 3 different products. So Close 3D is for fashion industry apparel. Nike, Adidas, Louis Vuitton, Diesel, something like this company are using Close 3D. Marvelous Designer is animation studio, commercial studio, and game studio. And CloverFit is for e-commerce actually, online virtual try-on. Some different. So this is our customer base. And now, so recently, Total Recall, the main character, Garment, was modeled with a Marvelous Designer. And Adventure of Tintin, Hobbit, many game and movies. Yeah. And now is some new movement in fashion industry. What is that one actually? Rather than photo shooting for their brochure website, they like to adapt 3D virtual garment, hire CG artists, using our software, easily making 3D garment exactly same as real garment. Yeah. If I will show, you can check with our website. You may not figure out which is real, which is a virtual garment. Yeah. So once done on our software and render, like for example with a V-Ray or Arcane, any other, looks very realistic. Yeah, that's the new movement in fashion industry. So in the very near future, your job sharply increasing from the fashion guys. Okay. So this is our fashion company. Okay. So you see this demo. So if you don't have any question to me, let me pass to Jamie. Okay. Here.
Hey guys, just need to switch this over. So yeah, basically I've been invited over today to speak to you a little bit more about the simulation side of Marvelous Designer. Phil showed you through the kind of modeling side of things, but I just want to give you like a little insight how we used it on the BBC Olympics project, and just share some ideas based on about preparing assets and animation to get the best possible results out of a piece of software. The reasons for choosing the software for us was the speed and simplicity. It has a very sort of logical and user-friendly interface, so I mean it's very fast to get the results that we were looking for within the film. Being able to interact with the costume as you build it was a very good feature, which kind of sold it to us in the way that we could. So yeah, just going on to the kind of production process, we had around 12 weeks for the whole production of the project. 6 of them weeks were scheduled just for cloth simulation. We had around 20 characters to simulate during that time. So originally we'd use Cyflex or Rancloth for that simulation. And we wasn't too sure whether it would actually be possible for this project to simulate that amount of characters in that amount of weeks. So we were just going to choose a few hero characters which were slightly more close up. But in the end, because of the speed and simplicity of getting your animation into the software and running the simulations, we were able to simulate all the characters, and it was the kind of first project I actually ever worked on where it finished ahead of schedule. Just want to talk to you a little bit about kind of research with Marvelous Design. Obviously it's a completely new approach to how you work with cloth simulation. So it's a good idea to try to understand traditional techniques of pattern making and how actual tailors cut cloth in such particular ways. We was also using kind of deconstructed clothes. So for the sportswear in the BBC Olympics, we'd take a kind of pair of shorts or like a weightlifter suit and actually cut it apart at the seams and lay it out flat onto the surface just to see how it was modelled. So obviously we could then take this back onto our character in Marvelous and remodel. The reference is also, when you're working with kind of simulation pipeline, is so important to get kind of key images and video footage, especially footage that shows a good range of motions, so you can see how an item of clothing actually evolves during an action. The other thing with finding good key references is to get supervisors and directors to all adhere to the same vision. Obviously, if you don't have a good item of reference or video, what tends to happen is when it comes to simulation, there's varying opinions of what something should look like. So having that as your foundation just basically gets everyone looking down the same path, and it means less iterations of your simulation. So previously, when working with Cloth or Cyflex, the process would basically be you get a model from the modeller, they'll go through a texturing process, and then it'll come to yourself. What this means is after you've done your simulation setup, quite often you need to optimise your mesh, so you create a very clean topology to put your cloth simulation onto, so all your edge lengths are as equal as possible. A lot of the time what would happen, the modeller would model the character, and when you run the simulation rate, it wouldn't actually fit the character as you imagined. So there'd be a lot to and fro between the modeller and yourself before you get the correct fit. And basically, Marvelous Design consolidates that all into a single process, which obviously is a massive time saver. I mean, a job which normally takes 3 to 4 days to get to visualising an item of clothing with the dynamics applied. It's like obviously 3 or 4 days. Using Marvelous, you can achieve it in half a day to a day. Just on the look development side of things, actually, I think Phil's gone through how you sketch out a pattern from various references. After you take your panels, you can make a placement within the 3D avatar window. This is a section here where you can see all the stitch lines, the different colours, and then when you run the simulation, it's all kind of shrink wraps around your character. At this stage, if you bring the director on board, you can have him sit with you, and there's some cool features with the stress map shader, so you can actually sit and tweak your pattern so that see that where the red section is, this area is where the tightest part of the mesh is. So if you want to loosen this, for instance, you know that you have to widen your cloth around the chest area to expand out, and then once all your clothing is green, then it means that you're at its optimum fit. But obviously, a lot of the clothing in BBC Olympics was very tight, so it's kind of more stretch wear. This was an initial workflow simulation test. When testing software, I'm a big believer in trying to test it in the correct context. So what basically the idea about it is to actually take a piece of animation and put it through its paces, create your garment within Marvelous. So the idea is to just get it through the pipeline from the animation stage, because I haven't seen much simulation from Marvelous coming out or being used in production. It's important for us to get it back into soft immerse and render it out to make sure it did kind of hold up to what was expected. And it was really pleased with the results, and kind of in a way that gives us confidence to switch out the pipeline across to Marvelous. So yeah, it was kind of literally out of the box. We were getting results like this. There's various presets which you can add to different panels, and they all seem to work as expected, and they're very predictable. Yes. So I'd just like to talk a little bit about real-time interaction. Being able to actually pull your clothing around during the modelling process is a really cool feature. And like I was saying earlier, we've got a director who's got very specific ways where they want the cloth to fall, or they want creases in certain places. You can use this to help achieve that vision. Basically, what it allowed us to do, because we were getting sign off a lot faster on our garments, we was allowed to tackle a larger volume of work, and obviously this allows us to spend more time on simulation. One of the most important parts of cloth simulation is trying to collaborate with your animators. In the end, it's this which drives your simulation. So if you've got problems with your animation, that's going to drive through into the simulation. The most common factor of this is intersecting body parts, elbows going through ribs, and various other. As you can see in the images here, there were a few kind of poses and positions within the BBC film which were unavoidable. Obviously, this is the starting grid pose for one of the sprinters. Obviously, we couldn't change the pose here, so one of our TVs, Passion, created a custom performer which basically created a cavity deformation within this area. So you'd basically get a geometry volume or a null volume and place it here. And what it'd do, it would create a small cavity, like enough for the cloth to pass through. And this basically minimised any jittering or any problems with the cloth. Also, the other important thing is, I think it's fairly standard practice these days, is at the start of all your shots, you have your character in a neutral position, T-pose, with a blend in over the course of 25 frames. This is just to get your cloth to settle before actually starts going into the shot. Yeah, I just want to talk a little bit about the elastic properties. This was a really nice feature that we found in Marvelous. So for the boxing guy, we placed a series of internal lines which you can add elastic ratios to. We've not really seen this before in any other software. I mean, you can rescale springs generally across the whole mesh, but to be kind of specific with your placement, it was a really cool feature. And obviously, he was trying to get the kind of rough. You can't really see, it's quite low risk. So yeah, I'm using like an oversized panel of cloth with an elastic ratio, just allowed us to gather all the cloth material together to create these ruffles. The other thing as well is the resolution. Is initially when we made this setup, there wasn't enough topology in in the waistband to actually to give you that amount of detail. So the nice thing about Marvellous, it works on kind of point size. So if you by reducing your point size, it adds more topology to the geometry. So it's very procedural in that respect. So we increase the topology, and all the simulation settings are still intact. You don't have to go in and rebalance everything with side flips and end cloth. What you'd find if you needed to add more resolution to your geometry or your mesh, you have to go in and refine your sweet spot. So just one of the characters. The layering system is an extremely powerful feature. I mean, Phil touched on it a little bit with his t-shirt and his jeans. I think with this character, there's kind of three different presets used. We have this kind of cotton material. The white section is leather, and then on the side we have a kind of pressure setting, which basically inflates the side panel to kind of simulate padding in a way. There's over kind of 40 panels within this shot here. This was probably the most complex character in the production. When we first set simulation off, this character was quite worried because obviously there's a lot of components in it and it was very high resolution. And first time round, it just turned out a complete mess. It all imploded in on itself, and it wasn't what we expected. It weren't until speaking with support that the whole layering system only works during the draping process. So once you've set out all your layers and made your draping, which you get here, that's absolutely fine. But when you come to simulating your character, all of them layer settings need to be reduced to 0. So they already have their starting point. So as soon as we found out this, simulation went absolutely fine. I think this simulation worked out about 30 seconds per frame. Just an example of the weightlifting character. We used the maximum settings for the belt, just to simulate some compression around the area. Didn't actually render the belt object that was hidden in soft image, and we used obviously a standard way of modelling the belt. They had buckles and various other parts on it. When you export an object from Marvellous, it comes out as a single OBJ. So if you have various different materials that you need to add to it, it comes across as clusters. So in whatever package that you're using, you'll need to reassign the textures to each of them clusters. And the other really nice thing about Marvellous is the ability to recycle existing garments. So obviously we started building a kind of bank, a library of characters. So especially for the hurdlers, this was really good because all the characters had slightly different proportions. So what we do, we'd work on the first setup, get the simulation settings right where we wanted them to be. So we knew when we were translating that across to the other characters, it was less tweaking to do. It was just a case of pulling a few of the edges around and patting them down and re-exporting. The other thing as well, to save time, is for the background characters, we'd literally just drape the cloth so that when we exported it across to soft image, we'd we'd envelope it onto the rig. And the detail that was in that was enough to you could see it in the background, so it wasn't just completely flat envelope, which meant you didn't have to run a full simulation. Obviously, establishing the pipeline and workflow was quite important for us. All the assets were kind of shared across multiple shots. So we used software referencing system to do this. Basically what that meant was whenever a shot was updated, it would automatically pull in the asset and it would get redistributed among all the shots. Establishing the scene scale with Marvellous, it's a little bit tricky at first because there's not too much information about which package has which scale. And Marvellous, their units are millimetres. I'm not sure what mine is, but Softimage is 10 centimetres per unit. So, a good way to get the correct scale in your CG package is to export the avatar in Marvellous as an OBJ and bring it into your software. So whatever scale that you need to scale your character up to reach the same height as the standard avatar, that's the percentage you need to input here. For us, it works out kind of 10,000%. The other thing with Marvellous Designer, which you know, is it simulates at 30 frames per second. So for the likes of us working with BBC, obviously they're 25 frames per second, which meant we had to re-timescale our animation so that it synced up when it was coming back out. You can see on there, if you want to know, it's 83.3%. The other thing with the animation in BBC was we needed to stabilise a lot of the motion because it was obviously moving across large planes so fast. Obviously the sprinters, the BMX rider, and I think this is apparent for any character moving fast. We take the animation and we could train it to the centre of the world. So effectively we had characters running on the spot and we were just blowing wind into them just to get them high frequency ripples. So yeah, this is the film that we created. Pause that, so I need to plug in the speakers.
starting on the 27th of July.
Okay, and that finishes the talk. Thank you. I don't know whether you guys have got any questions or anything you want to ask about production, or is there anything else you want to ask Phil?
How did you find it working in a traditional sort of clothing design method rather than in our traditional sort of 3D way?
It was actually the most refreshing experience I've had, because it's obviously it's a completely different way of working, and having that introduction into CG, it just opened your eyes to a completely different genre. And like Phil was saying earlier, obviously the fashion industry is now kind of calling for people who do cross simulation. So yeah, it's good.
In fact, it fitted easy in with workflow and pipeline and everything like that.
Yeah, I mean, there was some teething issues at the start. Trying to get the sync of the scale and the animation at the beginning was a little bit of a process. But I mean, I'm going to try and get as much information up on the forum as possible, so everyone can get up to speed with that as fast as possible. Because I think that's the biggest thing that's kind of holding people back from going deeper into it at the moment. Is I think the workflow between could be a little bit easier. I mean, I'm speaking with the guys at Marvellous about various other ways of bringing in data to and from the different softwares. So yeah, the future hopefully will be good.
So does it work with 3D Max, I'm assuming?
Yeah. Basically, it's all the animation that goes into Marvellous is vertex based. So you've got NDD, point cache, and I think it also takes in cache at the moment. I mean, we're speaking about Alembic and FBX, right? Will be. Yeah.
So what did you chuck out to soft? What was the format that you brought into soft?
We were bringing in NDDs for the caches for this.
What kind of sizes were you looking at?
For file sizes?
Yeah, I mean I don't know, for say, like 5 seconds of simulation.
5 seconds of simulation. I mean, we had a shot. So this is looped at the moment, but to simulate this shot, it took about 20 minutes. So I haven't done any exact calculations, but as a test, I tried bringing this mesh into running Cyflex for it, and as soon as you added the Cyflex node, it crashed. So I mean, that kind of gives you a scale, gives you an idea of the resolution that you can go to.
So the models that you're working with from the beginning, they're quite dense, then I'm assuming?
Yeah, I'm going to try and find another image.
So one question is, how much is the Marvellous designer?
You can find the price on bluegfx.
Right.
Do you do educational discounts?
Yeah, we have a enterprise license and academic license and some basic license. But from early of January, so our price is changing a little bit more.
It's going up in January.
So you can't, I mean, you can't even see. The resolution's not there for it, but you can see compared to the collision geometry, it's basically all lines. So it is a very dense mesh.
What sort of point size, because I've used Marvellous design, what sort of point size are you exporting now? Or
The BMX costume, that was down to 4. This particular one was 6. Yeah, so everything we've done was always under 10. I think for longer shots, you can be kind of selective over how much detail you put into it. But, yeah, generally between 4 and 6 was benchmark.
sorry, yeah, but did you re-quad the mesh afterwards, or did you stick the triangle?
No, this is the mesh that we rendered. I mean, we've been doing some tests with other characters which have a lot more thickness where you need to see the edge. So we're actually going in and, like you say, re-topologizing and then just using this to cage the form to. So we'll wrap the form like a secondary mesh with the thickness onto this one. So,
how did you fit learning in with the production? Like learning the software whilst working on a really quick
pressure. There's nothing like being thrown into the deep end. But I mean, there was an element of a gamble there as well at the start. But I think Passion, the way they schedule their projects, there's always a little bit of buffer at the start just to iron out your workflow and your pipeline. So this was enough to, the sort of boxing sequence, the test render we done, that was actually the first simulation that we done, and I mean it's that gave us the confidence to run it through the rest of the pipeline.
Yeah. So I've used it and I've done the tutorials on the website, and it seems really simple until you get into the, I suppose, adding pockets with pressure in and belts and the internal lines. Are there more tutorials or people that teach it?
Well, I mean, as far as teaching goes, I don't think there's many people out there who are actually using it professionally without being able to have enough knowledge to teach it as well. I don't know whether that's different in Korea, but I mean over here we could definitely do with some more people kind of sharing the love.
We're starting to teach at the university course and starting with our students.
Okay.
Yeah, getting more school actually. We are getting more and more school to use blockchain and teaching, and from our website you can find very detailed tutorial video and manuals, so all the free. Yeah, and if you have a further question, you can directly contact us. Yeah.
After you finish pattern cutting, do you have options to, like, for example, cut the fabric on the bias, which will create a completely different drape and look? This isn't from a gaming point of view. I'm a fashion designer, so my question's a little bit different from everyone else's. So just to stay true to fabric form, like with neoprene and other fabrics, they act differently when you pattern cut them. So yes.
So that is called physical property.
Yeah.
So we have a physical property editor, and we provide and increase basic library of physical property. For example, chiffon, jersey, cotton, leather belt, something like that.
Yeah.
And there is some detailed physical property editor, like for example, to get more stiffness, you just control the bending bar.
Yeah.
Bending, and something like.
Yeah.
And the weight is very well described on the manual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're very predictable as well, which was really good for us because obviously we put the material on and it was reacting as we wanted it. So from a fashion point of view, I'm sure you'll be pleasantly surprised with the result.
Yeah.
How long did it take you from start to finish to
Complete all the shots. It was about 6 weeks in total. That's what we've scheduled, but I mean we finished a few days before. So it was myself and another guy working on all the time. So obviously the first few weeks it was just purely modelling garments. We had a few test scenes of the boxes, which we were running simulations through in tandem with modelling just to see the most optimum vision. And so it was around 6 weeks for the whole production. There was 20 characters across 40 shots.
So is it your weapon of choice now from now on?
I wouldn't say it's weapon of choice 100%. We're still going to use a mixture of two. Obviously, they're still yet to implement animatable parameters, and I think the rigging capabilities still need to be improved. Obviously, there's no dynamic constraints in there. You can pin stuff to characters, but I think they're working on all of these to accommodate the effects industry.
So do these meshes come out of models with UVs?
Yes, that's the other thing. The
Is that
layout you see here is your UV set. So you basically get UVs for free, and they're so clean coming out.
Yes.
Texture arts is like, wow, these are the best UVs.
Yeah, just check UV map before exporting. Yeah.
Okay, that's it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Cheers.